The Galactic Council declared Earth off limits. No one told the humans. The vote was unanimous. 17 species. For minutes. Not a single dissent in 11,000 years of galactic governance. Earth prohibited. They burned the star charts, scrubbed the coordinates, whispered the edict across every fleet in the known galaxy. Quietly, efficiently, with the practice calm of civilizations that had done this before. 3 parsecs away, Commander Yara Solis was staring at 17 simultaneous calm blackouts, all pointing to the same dead space coordinates, and doing the math no one had bothered to stop her from doing. "Sir," her navigator said, "I'm reading 4,000 ships. In a sphere. Around Sol." Yara set down her coffee. "Give me a hail frequency," she said, addressed to all fleet commanders. By name. Her navigator stared at her. "You have their names?" She smiled slowly. "I have a lot of things they don't know I have." Chamber Zero sat at the lip of the known universe. A diplomatic station so neutral that even its star had no name in any galactic atlas. 17 flags hung in zero gravity. 17 ambassadors waited. Arbitrator Solin of the Varan Collective called the vote at 0300 hours, Galactic Standard. Edict 912. Permanent quarantine of the third planet, Sol System. All in favor. 17 blue lights. Simultaneously. Not one pause. Not one hesitation. The chamber exhaled. The collective breath of 4 trillion beings represented by 17 diplomats who all shared one quiet, primal fear. Humans. Ambassador Velthari of the Keth Dominion was first to speak. His translator rendered his mandible clicks into something approaching relief. "That it is done. It has begun," Solin said. "There is a difference." The silence that followed was heavy with 60 years of careful management about to become permanent policy. She had voted yes. She had proposed the motion. And she was the only one in the room who understood that unanimous agreement was not reassurance. It was a sign of how afraid they all were. 3 parsecs out, the UES Relentless was doing what it always did, going places it wasn't supposed to. Commander Yara Solis stood at the NAV table with cold coffee and the expression her crew had learned to fear. Not reckless, not aggressive. Calculated. The look of someone who had already run every scenario and decided the math was acceptable. 17 comm blackouts, Lieutenant Ezra Mwangi said. Simultaneous. All originating from Denali, 7 vicinity. Duration, 42 minutes and counting. Pattern, full information embargo. Council level. What could 17 species agree on that fast? Her tactical officer, Ensign Priya Voss, raised her hand. Us. Yara looked at her for a long moment. Then she rerouted power to the deep scan array. The display bloomed. Data resolved. And the bridge went absolutely still. Because there, around a small glowing dot labeled SOL, were 4,300 alien warships arranged in a perfect geometric sphere. Priya made a sound she immediately suppressed. Ezra counted the fleet's signatures in silence. When he finished, he said nothing. "Ezra," Yara said, "I know. How long have they been there?" "This configuration?" "Hours. But the individual fleets," he paused. "Commander, some of these energy signatures are years old. They didn't assemble this. This was already there. The sphere had existed for years. Maintained, rotated, staffed, and not once in all those years had anyone knocked." Admiral Chun appeared on the bridge display, looking like someone who hadn't slept in 30 hours. The 11-minute channel delay told its own story. "Commander Solis, where exactly are you?" "Vale Margin, doing what you sent me to do. Your orders were passive reconnaissance. My orders were to understand why 3 Sol fleet vessels disappeared out here." Yara transmitted the deep scan data. "I think I found the answer." Chun looked at the sphere for a long time. "The exclusion perimeter," she said finally. "The Council has maintained it for 60 years. This is not the first time they've voted to make it permanent." A pause. This time, something changed. The vote was unanimous. That has never happened. What changed? The Admiral looked directly at the lens. "You did. When you appeared in Usolian exclusion space 8 months ago and told the Vreth ambassador that you had been watching them, that you had their star charts, that you were curious and patient, she exhaled. To a civilization that has spent 6 centuries hiding from us, patient is the most terrifying word in any language. Yara absorbed this. Admiral, she said, how many species know we're out here? All of them, Chin said. That's what the vote was about. The channel cut. It took Yara 22 minutes to compose the hail. Not because she didn't know what to say, because she wanted it perfect. Addressed to all 17 fleet commanders, by name, on their private command channels, which she shouldn't have been able to access, but she had 17 years of intercepted signal intelligence and a navigator who could do things with encrypted frequencies that the Academy had not technically taught him. The hail was 47 words. In Galactic Standard, this is Commander Yara Solis, UES Relentless. We've been watching your conversation. We noticed the vote. We're not offended. We like to talk. We're patient. We can wait. But it seemed polite to mention, we already know you're there. In 17 fleet command rooms across the quarantine sphere, 17 commanders read the message and felt something they had no word for. The specific, vertiginous sensation of realizing you are not the most prepared person in the negotiation. In Chamber 0, Arbitrator Solène received the relay and stood very still. Of course, she thought. She looked out at the quarantine sphere, at 4,000 ships that had failed to be invisible, and began to understand that the question was no longer whether humanity would enter the galactic community. The question was whether the galactic community was ready for what walked through the door. Because on the Relentless, Yara Solis had already found something else in the signal data, buried beneath the blackout frequencies. An ancient transmission, not matching any known species signature, broadcasting toward Earth from inside the quarantine perimeter. Broadcasting for 11 years. She hadn't told her crew yet. She was still trying to figure out what language it was in,